Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and in my last video I started making an owl mask. This is a great horned owl, and it's going to be a display mask like these ones back here. This one is also a great horned owl. It's a masquerade mask, and this one is one that I made for my mask book, How to Make Masks. This one is not going to be the same. Obviously it's much bigger. The eyes are not going to be cut out. They're going to be painted, which is going to be really cool. I'm actually kind of pretending to myself that this is the owl mask that was a really big part of the plot in my first novel. My main character is also a papier-mâché artist, but she lives a much more interesting life than I do. The mask looks a little bit different now than it did when I showed it to you before, because in the first video I showed you how to make a kind of a rough draft of the clay model. I was using a very soft clay, it's Sargent's Plastilina, and I just wanted to get the basics down. And I also mentioned that I was going to make some really big changes to it. Once I have all the pieces down and I kind of have everything in the right place, then you can kind of fine tune it. So what I did was I took my rough draft, put it on this little mask stand. I showed you how to make one of these. It's really easy. It's just scrap wood, and it's a lot easier to see what you're doing when you can look at it straight on. I picked it up and I took it into my office, looked at as many photographs of a great horned owl's face as I could find. You can get hundreds of them on Google image search, and it really helped me to define all the sizes and shapes and placement of all the pieces. I had all that on there already, but it needed a lot of fine-tuning. So let me show you what I did to change it to bring it to the point where it's almost ready now for the papier-mâché. In the previous video I used these little buttons. That's what they're called. It's a wooden button. You get them at the hardware store or the lumber store. I actually don't know what they're for. And they were too small. And so I got out I think it's a 1.5 inch styrofoam ball that I had, and I cut it in half. And that's what I'm using now. So you can see the eyes are much, much bigger. Now the other thing that I did is pull out the, there's a ruff here that goes around the eyes. Is a feathering pattern that sits on the cheeks. In my previous version, I had it too close to the wall, because this is basically going to be the wall, and I was using the sketch that I made, and in the sketch I forgot to put the placement of that ruff, and so I put it way back here. That's not where it belongs. So I pulled that forward, and when I was doing that, I realized that there's something really important to mention. While you're working on your clay, you need to keep in mind that you can't trap any of your oil-based clay inside of your dried papier-mâché. We're going to be covering this with papier-mâché and then taking that off once the papier-mâché is dry. If any of this oil-based clay actually gets trapped inside of the papier-mâché and you can't get it out, the oil in the clay will eventually seep out and ruin the paint job on your mask. You can't fix it. It's done. So don't do that. If you want to make this little ruff, either right here, these are just feathers, it's going to be really, really thin. If you want to make it even thinner than I did, use aluminum foil and put that on there. The aluminum foil can stay inside. That's what I'm going to use for the ears. The other thing that I want to mention is that because I'm using the Plastilina, which is really soft, I'm going to put this in the freezer for a few minutes before I start adding the papier-mâché. The softness of the clay is actually really helpful when you're trying to build the model in the first place, because it allows you to work really fast. But at the end, it gets to be a little bit of a problem, but you can take care of that really easy by just making it cold. And then put the papier-mâché over it. Now I'm going to be doing those ears. I squished up some aluminum foil. You can see this is going to be kind of thin. The papier-mâché will go over it, and it'll be completely trapped inside the papier-mâché, so I wouldn't have been able to use clay for the horns or the ears, whatever we're going to call them. And I'm going to put them right here. I may have to change the placement after I turn the camera off, because I'm not looking at any photographs right now. I'm going to put that one right there. The ear starts right here, and there's a this ruff of feathers that kind of pops up here, that kind of continues into the ear feathers. So I'm just going to put this one little piece right here. I should be able to get that out when the paper mache pops off. That shouldn't be a problem. It's going to hold the ears on there for right now. Now I've started making another one here. I've checked to make sure that it's the right size, and I just wanted to show you a little trick. When you're using aluminum foil, you're going to crumple it and it gets really hard, almost like wire. And if you cut it with scissors, it works, but it kind of dulls the scissors. What I like to do is use these wire cutters instead. And I'm just going to cut it off. You could fold it up if you don't have too much. It works. Okay, now one more time I'm going to hold it over here. Actually, I'm just going to pop this off. I want to make sure that these are reasonably close to the same size. They are, except for that. I'm going to fold this down just a little bit to get it right. Okay, put this back. I'm going to be using a little bit more clay right around the edges, just at the very bottom, again, so that I'd be able to get it out. But these are just a little bit too flimsy. It's going to be difficult to add the paper mache to them without them falling off. So I'll take care of that. This is how it should look so far. The next step is to take it back in front of the computer, look at all those photographs again, make sure that I have everything the way I want it, clean up things. I can see right now that this here is just a little bit wider than this one. I'll change that. I'll make sure that the ears are in the right place. So after I make just a few more changes to this, it's ready for the paper mache. We're going to be doing that in the next video, so be sure to watch for it. And in the meantime, come visit me at ultimatepapermache.com. I'd love to see you there.